Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is November 29th. Snell is a Dodger. Kikuchi is an Angel. The Reds and Royals make a swap. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today? It's the weekend, of course, as usual, now Fridays only. I hope you guys all had wonderful weeks. I had a very tough morning trying to delete a bunch of sound recordings and raw audio files here. Spent almost an hour doing that, and my software here that I use to record is still giving me a lot of issues today, so apologies in advance if this episode sounds a bit out of whack, and hopefully I can get it fixed up for next week's episode. But yeah, I just got really frustrated with it, so I was just, let's just record it and let's get this one over with. And it sucks that this is the one that's giving me the issues, because this is going to be a really big and exciting episode. We've got a lot of big news to talk about here, and things that happened this past week here. So let's dive on into some of those things here. Let's get things started here, and hopefully audio sounds okay and everything is going to be good for us. But I don't really know how it's going to turn out, so hopefully it's hopefully good. Let's start by talking about the biggest news from the weekend here, the week, and that was Blake Snell signing with the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. It's a 5-year deal with $182 million. That is quite the amount of money here. That's a 36 mil AAV. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of that money is also being deferred. So if that is correct, then I guess the D in Dodgers stands for deferral. Have it here. About $60 million of Blake Snell's contract will be deferred. This also includes $52 million signing bonus and no opt-out. So it is quite the big contract for a pretty big player. The two-time Cy Young Award winner, the two-time ERA title holder, as well as an all-star way back in 2018 with the Rays. Of course, that was when he won his first Cy Young. He was 21-5 that year with a 1.89 ERA. And then the year before last year in San Diego, 2023, Cy Young Award winner once again, 2.25 ERA, 14-9 record for him that year. And we saw it a little bit again this year. Snell struggled. He was dealing with injuries. Then the second half of the season started. Once the All-Star game passed, he turned it on in a huge way and was dealing like 7-inning performance, like 11 Ks, bang, 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 always, as well as his no-hitter this year with the Giants, of course. Last year was a free year for him as well. Scott Boras, and we know about the issues last free agency for him. Struggled mightily and ended up signing a 1-year deal with the Giants. It kind of worked out because he pitched really well, only pitching 104 innings, but 20 games and a 3.12 ERA. Pretty nice numbers for Snell as a whole. He proceeded to get a nice deal here with the Dodgers, which has caused some issues for some people here. Mainly the people who, the Dodgers are spending too much money. They're getting all the players. And there's levels to this conversation that need to be had, because everyone's talking already now about, let's bring a salary cap to the MLB and all this other stuff. I don't see that working. It just doesn't really, it works in basketball. It works in hockey. I don't think it can work in baseball the same way. There's too many factors. There's too many, players that come in and out of organizations, whether it be from AAA or from other teams. Basketball, yeah, you have your G League and you have your, NHL, you have the OHL, other leagues where prospects and stuff can play. But a lot of the time, basketball, football, you get drafted, you're on the team. There's no holding you in a farm system. Baseball doesn't trade draft picks. If we're going to have a salary cap, I think, we should be able to have the conversation about bringing, trade draft picks for players and everything, because then that would make the game completely different. You could have the White Sox here. You don't have to trade for players, you just trade for picks. And then, that way it turns into something else. It just doesn't really work. But I can understand the frustration from other teams and other fan bases based off of, you have the Dodgers. They have Ohtani. They have Betts. They have Freeman. If you're a decent player and you hit free agency, the Dodgers are going to be in on you. That's just kind of how it works. And the Dodgers have the most money. They'll spend most money, and they'll get the best talent in players. We saw that. We saw that last year. We saw that the year before. And it's the same thing. But at the same time, too, other teams have owners who are billionaires and have all this amounts of money. They can go and spend it, too. Just because the Dodgers are the team that keeps doing it, they shouldn't get punished for that. I think it's a little upsetting about the deferrals. That I'm not happy about. I don't know. You can't, we're going to get everybody but pay them only $1 each year, and then we're going to sell the team maybe, and then have someone else pay, the trillions of dollars that we'll owe. That doesn't work. You can't. What are we doing here? You can't just keep deferring all this money. For the Dodgers, it's great because then it's you can go and get more talent and just defer more money. It's at this point, you could be signing guys who are 24 years old to contracts and then have them deferred until they're 50, and then they can start making money like that. I don't know. I just don't agree with the deferrals that much. But regardless of the actual politics and the business side of the deal here, it helps Dodgers. Believe it or not, bringing a 2-time Cy Young Award winner is going to help your team be better. Blake Snell, I don't know if he's going to headline that rotation or not, but he is going to be there. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is going to be there. Glasnow is going to be there. Ohtani is going to be healthy. He's going to be there. And then you have a mix of Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May who could still be around. Michael Kopech, if they want to move him out of the bullpen or not, who knows? You go through that injured list. River Ryan, Emmett Sheehan, Gavin Stone. You want to go check out the farm system. That's where Bobby Miller's hanging out right now. Landon Knox. Is Clayton Kershaw going to come back on a deal? So the Dodgers all of a sudden have 20 starting pitchers, and it is a lot. You know what? I can understand where the frustration's coming from going out and getting Snell. And of course, they're still in the mix for Soto too. What are we gonna do here? They have Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Snell, Soto, Yamamoto. You could just start naming list and list and list. And I mean, this kind of sucks for Dodgers fans too, because then the ticket price is gonna keep going up and up and up, and you're gonna have to pay, $300 just to sit in the nosebleeds. I don't know. There's some interesting levels to this, I guess, and yeah. That's all I really have for it. Blake Snell is going to be a Dodger, and that's how we're gonna start off. This episode here. It's a big deal. It's a big move. For the Dodgers, and they're going to keep spending, and they're going to keep getting players, and they're going to keep trying to make their team better. To see how it actually goes on in the field. Of course, we've seen Snell, how he struggles in the first half and then turns it on. But when Snell's right, he is an elite lefty out there, and his stuff is nasty. So Dodgers get another elite arm to add to their rotation. Moving on here, let's talk about the Angels, which, before the Snell deal, this was going to be the headlining, let's talk about the Angels right now, because they're doing the most, and they've gone out and they've signed and acquired Yusei Kikuchi on a 3-year deal worth $63 million. That's 21 mil AAV for those who are mathematicians. Kikuchi coming back to the AL West after a couple years in Toronto. Of course, debuted with Seattle in 2019. Spent 3 seasons with the Mariners before signing a deal with the Blue Jays. It was a 3-year deal. Spent 2 years with the Blue Jays, and then last year started with the Blue Jays, got traded to Houston. So he is joining his 3rd AL West team. It's funny because then Snell, actually, if you go back quickly, he was a Padre Giant and now a Dodger. He's still on his 3rd NL West team. So it's funny how some players find a division they like and just kind of hop from team to team here. But Kikuchi, Mariner, Blue Jay, Astro, and now Angel. And it's interesting to see kind of what the Angels are doing here, because at first, they make a couple moves here. You give them a hand for kind of just staying active. But now we actually got to, talk about the Angels' outlook here, because you can't just go and just make random trades and random signings. They have a vision here, but they've done a lot. compared to other teams so far in free agency. They've traded for Jorge Soler. They've grabbed Scott Kingery and purchased him from the Phillies. They signed Kevin Newman. They signed Travis d'Arnaud. They've signed Kyle Hendricks. Now they add Kikuchi. That's a sixth player that they've gone out and kind of improved on. They've got Ryan Noda in waivers, from Oakland or from the Athletics, I guess. So they've stayed busy, and there's no like Snell names or Soto names. Like, there's no one that like screams, "Oh, elite team-changing player signed." But when you make so many little moves here, it's it kind of does put some hope into the fan base. Not to say that the Angels haven't had hope, having one of the best players of this generation with Mike Trout. But of course, it's all about how it actually goes into fruition. If Trout can stay healthy, I mean, there's an Angels team out there that can just run. They could just start going with it. But we just haven't gotten a chance to see that yet. In my mind, Kikuchi could be the ace of an Angel staff here. With no more Patrick Sandoval right now, they non-tendered him. So, I mean, you got Kikuchi, Soriano, Tyler Anderson, Kyle Hendricks, and now Reed Detmers, I guess, make up the five there, the rotation for the Angels. And the team, it will slowly start coming together. There are names that we've seen and we've liked: Taylor Ward, Luis Rengifo, Zach Neto, Logan O'Hoppe. There are some nice names here, some guys who've continued to develop over the last couple of years here. Then you got Anthony Rendon, who, what do you get out of him on a given year? Mike Trout, can he stay healthy? How's that bullpen looking? So it's good to see the Angels be making these moves. It's good to see them having like this fight and this grit. But you're still going up against the Astros, and you're still going up against the Rangers, and you're still going up against the Mariners. And honestly, the Athletics have a decent team as well. Maybe there's pieces there, but I mean, the Angels are essentially fighting for fourth still, in my mind. Like, they need to go out and make kind of this big splash and this kind of big move here. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't know who that is. I mean, you can't really go out and get like a Pete Alonso or an Alex Bregman, Corbin Burns. Like, there needs to be one of those types of players that you can go and just be like, yeah, we're going to grab you. We're going to make a splash on you. And I feel like that's what kind of needs to be done here for the Angels, because like, they can make all these little moves, but it doesn't really mean much for the team's outlook. Kikuchi is, he was a good pitcher with the Blue Jays. He helped the Astros kind of like cement themselves into the postseason and kind of like separated that difference between them and the Rangers and the Mariners. But I mean, you've got a pitcher who last year was a 4 ERA. Kikuchi had a 4.05 ERA last year. Of course, once he went over to Houston, he turned it on. In 10 starts, he was 5-1, a 2.7 ERA, and he only got up 8 home runs while striking out 76 batters. So a pretty strong second half for Kikuchi once he got traded. In total, in his 6 years in the big leagues, 41 wins, 47 losses, a 4.57 ERA. I think Kikuchi is better than, numbers will go out and dictate. I've seen this guy pitch a lot, whether it be in person or on TV. And he's got nasty stuff. When he's right, his stuff is dealing. He will look good. And, I think there's a world out there where on any given night, this guy can go 6-7 innings and, striking out 8 batters here. But like I said, in the long run, the Angels need to do more. And it's weird saying that because they're the really only team that's done a lot. They've done 6 kind of, team-changing moves here. And I don't know how much it's actually going to mean for their team in the long run and at the end of the season here. You're talking about this Angels team that, went on a historic run to make the postseason, or are we talking about an Angels team that, despite all these moves, still couldn't even manage fourth? It's going to be interesting to see how this team plays out. And, I think it's good for them to keep going out and acquiring talent and acquiring guys like Kikuchi and Travis d'Arnaud and Newman and all the other guys. But if they really want to go out and compete and help Mike Trout make the postseason again, get the baseball fans what they want, and that's Mike Trout in the postseason, they need to go get a Max Fried type of player, a Pete Alonso type of player, a star to match Mike Trout. They had that with Ohtani. They couldn't supplement it. Now you have Mike Trout. They're doing a lot of supplementing. The pieces around look good, but you need another star, another wow player. So if Trout goes down, someone can still hold their own. The best teams have that type of dynamic. We saw that with the Yankees with Judge and Soto. We see that with the Dodgers and Ohtani and Betts and Freeman, etc. The Phillies, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, kind of matches it goes. The Braves, Acuna, Matt Olson, they have this kind of 1-2 punch that even when one player has kind of a down year for their standards, there could be someone else that kind of helps take the weight off. If Mike Trout gets hurt, for me, that face of the franchise, that star player is Taylor Ward. And as good as a player as Taylor Ward has been, he isn't a star player. He's not the kind of eye-popping, name player that the Angels need to help them get back to the postseason. So they got to go out, either make a bigger trade or sign some big free agency members. But hopefully they can do that. But Kikuchi is a nice fit. I think he'll look good in the red. And we're going to leave that there and continue on now with the big trade of the week here. We're talking about the Royals and the Reds. The Royals and Reds made a swap. The Reds are sending Jonathan India and Joey Wiemer in exchange for Brady Singer. This is very interesting. I didn't know how to feel about it. I still really don't. To be honest with you, I love Jonathan India and I love Brady Singer, and I like the Royals and I like the Reds. So this is just like two guys I like on two teams that I like switching teams, and I don't know if I like it or not, if I'm being honest. I find it really interesting here. There's two perspectives to look at here. We'll start with the Royals' perspective. And the perspective here is you had a random free agency last year where you went out and you kind of got names, and you got Michael Wacha and you got Seth Lugo, and they became stars and became superstars and just turned your team and made that rotation 10 times better, alongside, of course, your ace Cole Reagans. So you have this incredible 1-2-3 punch. And then you had Alec Marsh, who had a really... Now you have other kind of starters in your system and, cheaper options. Kyle Wright, even, if he can, what can he bring to the table now if he gets healthy and gets a chance to go here? So you have all this, and then Brady Singer, who's had a nice career, who's had good moments for the Royals, and in my mind was kind of looking like he could have been, before Reagans got traded, before the trade for Cole Reagans, he was looking like he could have been the ace of that stuff. He's been putting up nice numbers. He would have a good starts and then bad starts. He dealt with some inconsistency issues and still does with some, staying consistent. But last year, he was really good for the Royals, a 3.71 ERA and played 32 games. He's been healthy. He's done the work that way. He's been a really good starter for you guys. But then when you look at the Royals in the postseason, you know what? Their pitching was able to stop the Yankees a little bit. They had enough to kind of hold their own. What they didn't have was enough offense, really, to get them over the hump. We saw that in the first postseason series against Baltimore. They were barely putting up runs, but then again, neither was Baltimore. And, against the Yankees, they were able to hold it a little bit, but, eventually a team's got to crack. And when you have Judge and Soto on one team, chances are your team's going to crack. The pitching was great, but eventually they gave up those home runs and those, balls in play that ended up ending the Royals season. And I look at the names on paper here, and you know what? It's a good culture team. It's guys that you like. Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez still around, Hunter Renfroe, what's he's got still, MJ Melendez, Garcia, Kyle Isbell, names that are fun. But they're all kind of young still. They're all kind of developing, and you need some talent across the board here. And And of course, Bobby Witt Jr. is got enough talent to name like 5 guys. But, there needs to be more offensive guys here, more guys who can put the ball in play. Jonathan India is an interesting pickup here because, he's got great defense, but is he going to, be able to hit the ball well? He's, hasn't been able to be that same kind of hitter since his Rookie of the Year season in 2021. He was the first place, won it, had great numbers, 21 home runs, 143 hits, and 835 OPS. He's been phenomenal. Each year, 2022, big sophomore slump, just 705 OPS, only 10 home runs, 96 hits, played 50 games less, but still, 2023, a little bit better, 2024, a little bit better. So he's kind of improved each year since his sophomore slump. That 2024 year, though, last year, still not as good as his first season. 151 games, so 1 extra game, 132 hits, less hits, 15 home runs, less RBIs, OPS 750. So everything is still less, but it's still improving over the long stretch here. So I like the move here for the Royals here. I think India will fit nicely in the culture there and kind of be that presence in that infield to help out. Bobby Witt Jr. in India up the middle. That's a deadly second base shortstop up the middle combo there, defensively wise. So I think it'll be good there. I think learning from Bobby Witt Jr. will be able to help his swing out a lot too, because they kind of have similar hitting stances and hitting styles here. I think they're going to be really good together as teammates. So exciting to see that. They also get Joey Weimer in the deal. And if I'm being honest with you, I didn't know this guy was on the Reds. And I say that because he was barely on the Reds. Last year, played a big part with the Brewers. 132 games, had 13 home runs, 645 OPS. So, not anything crazy. This year, I'm not sure if it was injury or just being in the farm system. Played 21 games with the Brewers. 19 games with the Brewers, and then at some point went to the Reds, played 2 games, didn't have a hit, walked once, and that's it for him. So it'll be interesting to see what he ends up doing with the Royals here, but just wanted to mention that. But yeah, from the Royals perspective, like it a lot. From the Reds perspective, I think I like it even more, if I'm being honest with you. As I mentioned, Brady Singer is one of those guys who I do like Brady Singer. And I think, same thing with Kikuchi. I think his numbers speak louder, or his skill speaks louder than the numbers on the paper. 4.28 ERA in a 5-year career with Kansas City, doesn't scream eye-popping, but I think sneakily he is better than what his numbers will suggest. And I think that's a key thing for the Reds because last year we saw this Reds team, and if I'm being honest, they were the definition of inconsistent. They would go on a 10-game winning streak and then lose the next 8 straight. Ellie De La Cruz would hit 6 home runs in a 5-game stretch and then strike out the next 20 at-bats straight. There was no consistency with this team here, but there's so much fun like so many fun names and so much potential with this Reds team. I'm hoping this season's the season they can really turn over and really kind of battle the division here. I really do have high hopes for the Reds here, and we haven't even seen what kind of moves they're going to make this offseason. That starting pitching rotation kind of saved the Reds at times, but it was just so inconsistent as well. They had too many injuries with Hunter Green and then Nick Lodolo. But I mean, if those guys are right, that's a strong 1-2. Brady Singer then slots into the 3. What does Andrew Abbott have? What does Nick Martinez that you got on the qualifying offer? Where the rotation's nice. The bullpen needs some work. Alexis Diaz needs to fix himself up. Fernando Cruz had a nice season. Emmanuel Pagan's still there. You go pick up a couple bullpen pieces here, and then you add a couple names to the offense here. And we're talking about a really nice Reds team here. Tyler Stevenson behind the dish still. De La Cruz, you need him to be more consistent, not strike out as much. Yammer Candelario was great. Spencer Steer had a fantastic year. Matt McClain. What can you get out of the young guys here? Christian Encarnacion Strand, Noelvi Marti, going to be, having a full season, hopefully, no more suspensions and staying healthy and not staying healthy, staying smart about his game style. And then they still have nice pieces as well in the farm system. So, Rhett Lauder, we saw him get a chance and get a debut this, at the end of the season here. So there's definitely some hope for the Reds here. I think some pitching is going to help them out, as well as some offense. They're a few pieces away, but I kind of like the move. I see the vision of what they're trying to do here, kind of more amplify their rotation and their bullpen, and then have their hitters develop more. They're very close. You just need to stay consistent, work together as a team, and this is a Reds team that can roll here. So overall, the trade, love it for both teams. It'll be interesting to see how Singer and India kind of perform this season, because that's when you can really say, like, oh, they won this trade versus who didn't. So good stuff all the way around here. We're going to mention here Kyle Farmer signs with the Colorado Rockies is the next bit of news here. Farmer's had some, very nice years. Nothing that stands out. He hasn't been an all-star. Debut with the Dodgers, spent some time with Cincinnati, and the last 2 seasons he was with the Twins, and putting up decent numbers. Nothing crazy, nothing eye-popping. And now he's got a chance to kind of go to Colorado, and hopefully with the elevation, of course, he'll be a better hitter. He's always been a nice fielder. It'll be interesting to see what he is able to do with Colorado here. It's a 1-year, $3.25 million deal. Good for Farmer to kind of land on his feet here, and the Rockies, getting a name here that's somewhat notable. People know Kyle Farmer, and that's major league talent right there. So overall, good stuff there from the Rockies. Good for Farmer. Want to talk about a couple of minor league deals that I found interesting here, specifically 2, and they're both bullpen pieces. The first one here, Giannis Cabrera. Genesis Cabrera, however you want to pronounce it. He signs a minor league deal with the Mets. He had a very strong year for the Blue Jays last year, and even the year before that. The 2 years he spent with Toronto. Of course, in 2023, he came over from St. Louis, and once he did, he was really strong out of that Blue Jays pen. A 2.66 ERA for him that second half there, played 29 games out of the Jays pen. And then last year, in 2024, he pitched 69 games out of his pen, a 3.59 ERA. Those are pretty decent numbers. So only a minor league deal for him. I think he's going to have a great year with the Mets here. And the other one that I find interesting is Giovanni Gallegos. He signs a minor league deal with the Dodgers. And this one is very interesting because I didn't realize kind of how long Gallegos has been in the league for. He debuted with the Yankees in 2017, struggled, got traded to the Cardinals, kind of found it. In 2019, in his first full season with St. Louis, he played 66 games to a 2.31 ERA. That is phenomenal. In 2022, COVID year, a 3.6 ERA. 2021, 73 games and a 3.02. Then he kind of got the chance in that year to be a closer. And got 14 saves. The following year, 14 saves as well. He had a 3.05 ERA. So for a lot of the time, he's been like a 3 ERA, sub 3 ERA. 73 games, 53 games. Like, he has been very consistently good for the Cardinals. Of course, he's had a couple of blunders in postseason moments, and struggled a little bit. Last year in 2023, tough year. Had a 4.42 ERA and a 10 saves in 55 innings pitched. And then last year was probably his worst year of his career. A 6.53 ERA in 21 games, only 1 save in 20 innings. And the Cardinals said, no thank you, you're gone. Dodgers with a minor league deal. This is what worries me, because Gallegos could be 33. He's had, 4 years of success with the Cardinals, struggled 2 years, gets dropped, and now you're on the Dodgers. I think Gallegos is going to have one of the best seasons of his career. I think he's going to rebound like crazy. It's either that or he just continues to regress, and the Dodgers, just dump him at that point. The Dodgers have nothing to lose here. This is just, if he plays the way he had in 2021 and 2019 in those era of Cardinals teams, the Dodgers win from this big time because you're on a minor league deal. If he doesn't pitch well, then you still have a great team and you still have Blake Snell, so it doesn't really matter. But I found that very interesting. I didn't realize the Cardinals had to let him go here, but he is no longer with the Cardinals. He is a Dodger. So a couple of notable minor league deals there. Really quickly here, we're going to give you a Soto update. So last that we've heard, very quickly here, 5 teams have announced, or at least, it was announced via Twitter and social media, that 5 teams have made offers to Juan Soto last week. Those teams are the 2 New York teams, so the Yankees and the Mets, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the Dodgers. So those are the 5 teams that have made offers. But nothing's happened yet. He hasn't signed. I believe he's still holding meetings, and I think he's still, hearing counter offers and all this other stuff. But those are the 5 teams that we know have made an offer. So those are the 5 teams, I guess, who are currently, the best odds to sign Soto. Of course, I still think Yankees or Mets will be one of those 2 teams. But it'll be interesting to see if the Blue Jays or the Red Sox can kind of make that push for Soto. And it'll be really bad if the Dodgers get him, because that would just be super boring, and I think a lot of baseball would then hate the Dodgers. But that is the latest on the Juan Soto sweepstakes there. Next bit of news here I kind of want to just go over is Nolan Arenado being shopped around by the Cardinals. The trade rumors have been circulating for the 8-time All-Star, 10-time Gold Glover, and I believe 6-time Platinum Gold Glove winner. He's also got 5 Silver Sluggers. He's been phenomenal. One of, in my mind, one of this generation's, over the last couple of years, one of the best players to not win an MVP. He's had so many great years with the Rockies, and has had some great years with the Cardinals since getting traded for in 2021. 4 years with the Redbirds. And I don't know what the Cardinals' direction is going for here. Of course, Goldschmidt and Arenado was kind of that pairing, that duo that we were so excited to see in 2021 and 2022. And they just weren't able to find any playoff success there. If they were able to get into the playoffs, it was just to lose in the wild card round. So we haven't really seen the Redbirds kind of get that fire under them with these 2 veterans and these 2, leaders of the team here. Goldschmidt a free agency, and if Arenado gets traded, then it's time for the Redbirds to kind of look elsewhere and to see other potential of what they could do here. Arenado's going to be 34 next year, and his 13th year in the league. So he's been around. He's done a lot. Last year was kind of, I guess, his worst year. I mean, going back all the way to the start of his career in 2013, every year he's either won a Gold Glove, been an All-Star, won a Silver Slugger, any of those 3. Most of the years he's done all 3, been an All-Star, won a Gold Glove, and Silver Slugger. But every year he's won one of those 3 things or have gotten an All-Star. Last year he was not an All-Star, he is not a Gold Glover, and he's not a Silver Slugger. So this is the first year of his career where he's not taking home any accolades or anything like that. So it's tough there for Arenado. The reason I'm bringing this up as well, for rumor's sake, I'm just not trade rumors, is because Boston has been linked heavily to Nolan Arenado, so much so that, Rafael Devers, I believe, has come out saying that he would move to first base or, DH'd full-time, as well as Nolan Arenado. So basically, they're basically saying that, I don't mind playing first to be on this team, or I don't mind going to first to get him onto this team. So it seems like Boston kind of wants to bring in Nolan. It seems like Devers wants him to come, and it seems like Nolan would be open to moving to Boston as well. Of course, Trevor Story, one of his lifelong teammates in Colorado, is a part of the Boston Red Sox, maybe saying, hey, we could use you here. It'd be interesting to see who would end up going to first here, because, Masataka Yoshida has been the DH, not really that outfielder defensively. And they had Tristan Casas, who was, top 3 in Rookie of the Year last year. If you look along that outfield, Jaron Duran, Cedane Rafaela, and Wilyer Abreu. So The team is very nice. I'm looking at second base really where David Hamilton is, but I wouldn't really expect Arenado to be second or move to short or any of this stuff. So some interesting stuff there. It'll be interesting to see if he ends up moving here to Boston. I think the move would be interesting, bringing him back with Story and pairing him up with Devers. So, wanted to mention that here. If Arenado gets moved, maybe Boston is the dream destination for him going forward here. Last bit of news to talk about here today is Brandon Crawford, lifelong Giant, last year with the Cardinals, 14-year big league career. He has officially announced his retirement from the game of baseball. Debuted in 2011 at the age of 24 with the Giants, spending 13 straight years there, where he won 2 World Series, was an All-Star 4 times, a Gold Glover 4 times, and a Silver Slugger as well. Plenty of great years, of course. In 2021, had that big rebound year alongside a bunch of other Giants for that one final run where they won 107 games randomly. Spent 2 more years there where his numbers then dropped right back down, decreased. And then last year at the Cardinals, he played 28 games, had 1 home run. So that's how his career will end. But will go down as a Giants legend, one of those guys who's just been around and has helped them, playing shortstop and been that everyday guy. I think he still holds is the last player to have a 7-hit game. There was a game he played where he was 7 for 7, which was a very notable game here. But yeah, 14-year career for him, a 29.4 career WAR. He had 1,404 hits, 147 home runs, 748 RBIs, 674 runs, and a career OPS of 713. Just been a guy, been a lefty killer or lefty hitter who, always was able to just put good bat on the ball and always kind of just driving runs and came up clutch when this team needed it the most. His best offensive year was that 2021 season where he finished 4th in MVP, was an All-Star and a Gold Glove winner. Before that, 2015, that's his Silver Slugger year. He's had a lot of nice moments, a sneaky good career for, a quality hitter. And, all the best for Brandon Crawford in his retirement. And, we'll be joining the list of Charlie Blackmon and among others who have announced their retirement this year. But, that's how his career ends, and that's how this episode ends. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap for us here today. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. Big episode. One of the biggest days in the offseason so far, the biggest week. Snell's a Dodger, Kikuchi an Angel, Singers are Red, India's a Royal. How about it? I appreciate you all. Hopefully this episode turns out well, and, no issues with the audio. If you guys have any recommendations for software for recording, podcasts and everything, I'm not sure if I'm going to try to switch it, or I'm not sure what I'm going to do here. I'm going to try to fix this problem for next week, but regardless, I appreciate you all. Thank you, everybody, so much, and I will see you on Friday.